done a lot of walking today from Gare du Nord, and I've now reached Père Lachaise Cemetery, the big one. And this is the cemetery where, you know, a lot of famous people in Paris are buried here. You know, you gotta think, Jim Morrison, Patrick Kelly, the lady saying Noir, like Edith Powell, is her name? Yeah. There's even a grave of a Guatemalan guy, and he's got a big tombstone in honor of the Mayans of his country, which I actually found the first time I came here. Now, when I came here 2 years ago, I couldn't find the grave of Marcel Marcillo, the famous mimist. So hopefully I will be able to find him this time, and you know, we'll have a good time. Oh yes, they got maps here, but I gotta tell you, it's gonna be so confusing. I actually did bring a map on my phone, but you know, my phone is now like 70% power. Okay, now, I'm trying to think, who was, okay, oh yeah, there's Jim Morrison, Marcel, oh yeah, that's someone, Marcel, no, that can't be him. I think. Hey, George. One important thing is I'm actually here because, you know, it's lunchtime and I've only got like a couple of hours of light left before darkness. And yeah, oh look, we got a Rothschild buried here as well. Okay, this is the 50th division of the cemetery. From what I've read online, Patrick Kelly, the fashion designer who died of AIDS, is buried here. He was African American, and his clothes was worn by famous people like Bette Davis and Madonna. It was all to do with like buttons. Buttons was his thing. Let's see how is it? It's got to be somewhere in this lot, 50th. So when you want to find someone's grave, you just have to like look for what section they're buried in, and then you gotta keep looking. Oh my goodness, red tape here. Some of these tombstones might fall down on somebody walking by, because these tombstones are quite old. Here it is, the grave of Patrick Kelly. Nothing is impossible. Doesn't mention anything about his date of death around here, but from what I remember, he died of AIDS in around 1990, the peak of the pandemic. He was a well-loved fashion designer, you know. May he rest in peace. God bless. Seems this must be the place where they bury a lot of Iranian people. That's Iranian writing, or Farsi. Guy who died after the revolution, I believe. And just not far from Sadiq is a grave of Mohmoud Hamchari, ni Khalid, born in Palestine, 1939. He was assassinated in Paris on the 9th of January 1973. Represented the Organisation de Libération de la Palestine. So, very sad. Killed him. After what happened at the Munich Olympics as payback. Now, the one rule about getting buried in the cemetery is that I believe you had to have some sort of residence towards living in Paris. I mean, literally, I don't believe, you know, somebody from Australia or America could bring the ashes over here to be buried. Unless, of course, you know, you buy a plot in advance. But then again, I kind of believe plots in the cemetery, they could probably be very expensive, and, you know, space is kind of limited here, I believe. I mean, you got so many different people buried like over time. I mean, here's someone who died like last year. This person seems like he would have died 20th century. These graves go back to the 19th century. Wow, look at that. Yeah, these, you call them mausoleums right here, they're quite creepy. You know, you look inside, you wonder, like, whereabouts do they bury them? Do they bury them on the walls, or do they bury them down there, or do they bury them, like, in there? I don't know. You see, as I'm walking around the cemetery, I can sense a strange smell. Maybe it is cremated remains, maybe it is strong perfumes, or maybe it is to tell me that I am at the grave of the one and only Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was born in Ireland, and he was a great poet, writer. I can't really say that I've ever read any of his books. My brother in Australia is a big fan and all. I have seen the Oscar Wilde statue in Dublin in a park. But Oscar Wilde was busted because of his sexual preference in the 19th century. And then he went into exile as a poor man in Paris. And so when he died here, and he's buried here. And this thing was put up in the 20th century. It's kind of like a half devil, half angel, like a gargoyle. Fortunately, somebody stupid has stolen the genitals of the creature. And there's a sign saying, out of respect for the memorial, please do not mark this grave. Because, you know, all those lousy lipstick marks and all. Fans come to like leave mementos, coins, rings, texts, pens, flowers, in honor of the great man. So, as a matter of fact, his partner was also buried here in the same plot. I'm not too sure if it does list his partner's name on the tombstone. Yes. So here it is, let's read this out here. Oscar Wilde, author of Salem and other beautiful works, was born at 21 Western Road in Dublin, October 16, 1934. He was educated at Port Royal in Enniskillen and Trinity College in Dublin, where he obtained a scholarship and won the Berkeley Gold Medal. For Greek in 1874, sometime Demi of Magdalen College in Oxford, he gained a first class in classical modernization in 1876. After class in literature, humanities, and the New Disgate Prize for English verse in 1878. He died fortified by the sacraments of the Church on November the 30th, 1990, at the Hotel d'Assy, 13 Rue de Brooks, Arts Paris. Rest in peace. Verbise mes andre nil obene subrat. Still abat ilkum job catut, and alien tears will fill for him pity's long broken urn, for his mourners will be outcast men, and outcasts always mourn. This tomb, a work of Jacob Epstein, was given by a lady as a memorial of her admiration of the poet. about this glass, people, I still analyze it. Not good. Maybe it needs to be a bit taller. I got no idea if this guy was either a Moroccan or a Wiccan, but in my life I've never ever seen the grave of a Wiccan. Another interesting tombstone, Bernard Rethorpe, died only about 10 years ago. It's like this thing's got two faces, so believe it has something to do with Africa, African cultures. Yes. Now this grave has been visited so many times of an artist, Victor Noir, born 1848, died 1870. So a woman believe that if she touches the genitals of this man, leaves a flower in the hat or his hand, and kisses the head, she will become fertile and will probably have a child. So this is a well-visited grave, and I just stumbled across it. I knew really well about this grave from many videos I've watched online, but for me to, walk past it, I'm like, that's how smart I am. And here we have another Frenchman from history, Melik Gabriel Bouvedet, Veve Allan, Kardec, 21st November 1795, 21st January 1883. So he was a philosopher, Allan Kardec. Wow, that is one giant tombstone. (1859) it was built. I mean, how big can they get? Sky's the limit, though. It's raining. So I'm just scattered everywhere, Mostly mausoleums. Colourful. Okay, vision. It's not someone famous, but it's all about the location. Helena Nistol was born in 1915 in Tunis, and she died in Limoges. So she, she was a French Tunisian. I wouldn't call her like she was an Arab, but she was like a French person who was born in Tunisia when it was a French colony. Grave of Matt Kolik, that's definitely Croatian sounding. You can always see the Croatian checkerboard. I think he died 1981. So, oh yes, assassinated. So he was a freedom fighter for Croatia, and he lived here. So the Yugoslav secret army assassinated him here. Because, in the time of the 80s and 70s, there were a lot of Croatians in the diaspora who were, resisting the Yugoslavs, wanting to, form their own country. And, Joseph Broz Tito's men, wanted nothing to do with these men, so they were murdered abroad. by social security people. That's what I mean, the secret police of the Yugoslav government. So, I believe after 40 years being buried here, he should be buried in Croatia, his home country. Now we've got some more people who fled communism. This is Pierre Christoph and his wife. They were both born in Bulgaria, and they died here in Paris. Professional Nalco Institute Language Civilization Orientans. Yeah, all sorts of nationalities are buried here, I can tell you that. Another grave I've probably seen before. Must be a French artist. Yeah, Gericault. Yes, it's quite a fitting tombstone for him. This must have been one of his works, and this is a statue of a great man. I'm not too sure if he ever had some sort of disability or he like lost a finger or something like that. So he was born 1791 and he died quite young. That would have been 1801, 11, like 33. Yes. So here he is. Okay, this is my third visit to Père Lachaise Cemetery. I came here yesterday, visit Patrick Kelly, an Armenian fighter. I visited Jim Morrison. I didn't find Edith Plow, and I'm still gonna find Marcel the Mimist. But this statue here, I've seen it before. Her name was Wilde Vanocchi. So she must be quite significant in this country, this music. I'm looking for the mimist Marcel, who I know is buried in the 22nd section in this area, though. Anti-Semitic vandalism. But the person buried here, I believe, he or she was a Sephardi, follower of the Jewish faith, because her place of birth was Istanbul. Impressive. So I found him, one of the world's most famous mimists of all time, Marcel Marcillo. He was born in Strasbourg on the 22nd of March 1923, died in Cahors 22nd of September 2007. He was one of the world's best mimists of all times. He was an inspiration to Michael Jackson, and you may remember him from the movie The Silent Film, that Mel Brooks one. Basically, Mel Brooks and his friends, they try to call him in Paris to ask if he wants to be on the silent film. So it shows Marcel walk into his apartment, like full of wind, closing the windows, and when he picks up the phone, they ask him, "Do you want to be in the film?" So when he picks up the phone, he yells, "Non!" That means no in French. So, you see, many years ago, my friend in America, he wanted me to come and visit him, and so I sent him my best Marcel impersonation. I was like, "Non!" Meaning, no, I don't want to visit America because I'm too busy visiting famous graves here in Paris. So yeah, so God bless Marcel Marcillo. I found him. He's in the 22nd division of the cemetery. So in honor of Marcel Marcillo's Jewish faith, I'm going to leave a pebble here in honor of his memory, because that's what you do when you visit a Jewish grave anywhere in the world. Marcel Marcillo was awarded like the highest honor in France, and he actually saved many Jewish children because he worked at a school during World War II, and so basically he protected so many Jewish children. Because the woman he worked with was awarded Righteous Amongst the Nations for what she did. So you can look that up online. Julia Fritz, born in Cologne, died in Paris, 51. famous on both sides of the German-French border. Tiki Hol Gado must have been a comedian or a bicycle rider, or a rider himself. Yeah. Here's someone who came from Africa. Sarun Diarra, believe the person was a drummer. And then Bernard Fay. He pose it au Jardin du Souvenir. So souvenir means memories in French. And I think this is for... Yeah, it's a Greek war memorial. As the ambassador of Greece has left a wreath here. Toafn.